We were the anti-nuclear capital of the world. I was an autistic kid. My father was a drafted United States Marine, an incredible man. I come from an incredible family. My uncle stood on Omaha Beach on D-Day. I grew up on a huge ranch out by the lake. He was a beautiful, incredible person. He was at Pendleton, combat ready, and they were human guinea pig. They were marched into the trenches in Nevada. They're called atomic veterans. He nearly died at the blast. Between 1951 and 1968, we had 300 open-air tests. Well, as different scientists started to write about this, Wallace Stegner was at the University of Utah at the time. I got to know him. Edward Abbey was hanging around there. I got to know him. I got to know all these environmentalists, and I was an environmentalist, and it was a passionate, intense subject matter there.
All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. Bloomgate, 311, whatever you want to call it. I call it Pacific genocide, whatever. It's fucking giant conspiratorial across all demographics. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. Bloomgate, 311, whatever you want to call it. I call it Pacific genocide, whatever. It's fucking giant conspiratorial across all demographics. They'll be calling you a radical. May God have mercy on all of your souls.
Nuclear power was evolving. We were promised, oh, this can't happen.
Well, good morning. They'll be calling you a radical. Kevin D. Blanch, Post-Ignorance Radio. First off, let's get right to the top, right to the subject at hand that really matters. We're going to work from the top down, a hierarchy of the most important, because nothing else matters. The environment, 31111. Fukushima. What's new at Fukushima? What's going on? Same old, a catastrophe of epic proportions that people want to posture and groom and somehow thinks in a 2-week news cycle. I've watched this thing evolve through my YouTube site, through my walk, through my cancer, through this contemporaneous mass of drooling, false bravado, arrogant sheeple. As they're so groomed and so postured, they really, I mean, you can watch it. The news cycle builds up. They go, oh, it's over, just like they think. And here it comes again. It's not going away. It's being reported now, number 3, as leaking even more. It's falling apart. Now, the unit number 3, they've admitted MOX fuel. And you people that don't know what MOX fuel is weapons grade for nuclear weapons. Why in the whole world would Japan? I thought we signed treaties after World War II that they cannot have a military. Why would they have nuclear weapon grade fuel in the reactor of Fukushima, Japan? We get it. The United States military destroys complex. The control freaks are out of control. Pointed at China. Secretly. That's a big piece of it. Yeah, when we first started talking about this before, I mean, us hardcore anti-nukers were talking about this long before the 3/11/11 disaster, that there was a secret nuclear weapons system going on in Japan, especially at Fukushima. Oh, no, you guys are crazy. You guys are crazy. Now they freely admit. Now let's talk about this. If 3 is leaking, which we know it is, of course, it's been in full meltdown. If 3 is leaking, then MOX fuel is so incredibly strong. Is it leaking into the ocean? I'm leaking in the ocean all the time. Is it leaking into the atmosphere? Yeah. As I've got into arguments over and over with people, they'll say, oh, you know, Ann Coulter, that dude, and these people that buy into this bullshit, oh, a little bit of radiation is good for you. And there's plenty of people that buy that. That's smaller. Here's the problem. This is not low level. There's nothing low level about this. And let's be clear, too. This is not your father's radiation. Radiation, cesium 134, 137. Let's talk about the reality of the facts that are going on at Fukushima, Japan. As I call it, Fuktonium. We know this has never happened in the history of humanity. Now, when I say that, people say, oh, God, the earth, blah, blah. I said humanity. This is the false bravado and the ignorance that goes out. People, I mean, as the Mormons and the earth's 4,000 years old, really? Wow. As they really, the environmental poisoning that goes on in this country is evangelicals, the Mormons, the far radical right, and the lunatic, ignorant, false bravado left have marginalized us all. I really believe that they want this to happen. They want the earth to be poisoned and set on fire and burned. See, we told you. Oh, and we're getting our own planet in heaven. We told you because they're degenerates. Nuclear fission. Has it ever happened? Nope. As Einstein, Sokolov, Oppenheimer, all of the great minds, every scientist, your third grade science teacher, your seventh grade science teacher, your college professor, what they told you and what you were taught all through the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, what John Kennedy said in his test ban treaty speech on July 26, 1963, it's all true. We don't know. So what's being released into the atmosphere, we don't know what it is. Because are new elements going to be created out of this? Of course. How could it not be? I call it the red sun. Nuclear fission. I call it Fuktonium. Oh, well, somehow people think plutonium's some natural thing. And radiation. No, we don't know what we're being exposed to. There's the problem. As the lie builds and builds, the lie of America, which has been kidnapped and hijacked into the total military industrialized complex, that's not a cliche. As Eisenhower warned us, and Eisenhower would be considered a raving lunatic liberal in this today's. And by the way, you liberals don't even know what a liberal is. This far left, they're pathetic. As Barack Obama, liberal, you neoconservatives, conservative. I'll quote Edward Abbey about the new conservative. He said this in the 70s. Number one, there's nothing new about him. And they're old as Babylon themselves, and considered they're evil as hell. Edward Abbey, who I knew personally. The liberal softy, Bobby Kennedy would spit in your face. John Kennedy would spit in your face. There hasn't been a progressive, liberals. No, you ain't liberals. You're air suckers and earth crawlers. That is the problem. Your false bravado, your egotistical arrogance, the argument of America, which has always gone on. Cordial conversations are dangerous. Passionate, intelligent arguments get results. We always understood that. Everybody understood the intelligent, passionate arguments that happened on the Senate floor and the House floor, and this beautiful system that our forefathers created was brilliant, and it was genius. As somehow you believe Jefferson and Hamilton hated each other when Jefferson and Hamilton loved each other. To disagree, yeah, that's what they did. That's how debate. That's how pragmatic they were. But then they would come together and find the best solution. That's what America always was, not anymore. Ideologues. It's false bravado. And if you don't believe me, I want you to do this. You walk up to everybody you talk to in your circles, and you're racism, and you're anti-Semitic, and you're dogmatic, and, as you're in your dogma snuggies. Everything you break down to the most simple common denominator in your ignorance, thus post-ignorance. I want to ask you this. Here in the United States, when you go off on your political theater and you talk to people, just ask when somebody's ranting and raving and carrying on, just look at them and say, who's your congressman or woman? They don't know. How can you have it is representative government. Congress is no more hated and no more ridiculous and no more ignorant than the very people they represented. Our forefathers got it right. We are the ones that got it wrong because we quit fighting. We quit having these intense arguments, intelligent arguments. We stopped. We bought into the co-opt Fox News. Fox News, and when I go off on my radio show, and I'm going to bring in a lot of guests, when I talk about facts, I'll talk about facts, but I always speak about facts. When stuff that I hypothesize, I will tell you that I'm hypothesizing this. I'm not commentary on documentary. On Fukushima, it's fact, fact, fact. I talk about nothing but fact, 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 fact. The environment, fact, fact, fact. The economic, fact, fact, fact. Your wealth, fact, fact, fact. But when I'm going to hypothesize something, I will hypothesize. So I'm going to hypothesize right now. Here's what I believe. Do I know this to be fact? No, but I strongly believe it. I believe in the 90s that the CIA put together, via the military-industrialized complex, a program. I believe it possibly was called Foxconn, not to be confused with Foxconn, which is Apple's slave factories in communist China, which is China really communist? Wow. The elite ruling class, they use slaves. Foxconn. I believe that Fox News worked with Rupert Murdoch and Sean Hannity, Rush Limbaugh. I think they're all operatives for the CIA, every one of them. No, I'm not talking in a hardcore way. I'm talking in a pseudo de facto way. And they were sponsored and they were fed talking points. Because remember in the 90s, it was the leaner, smaller military. This military was getting very small, very fast. We were getting to be a very healthy country in so many ways. We had a Goldilocks economy. We had absolutely no inflation. None. Zero. Thanks to Volcker and his taking the classical medicine on when he raised that interest rate to 18% to kill inflation, he did the exact right thing. We took our classical medicine. Oh, did it work. Our incredible prosperity of the 90s. No inflation with rapidly rising equity markets. Everybody wanted to be a piece of America. Everybody. We had the technology. Boom. Everybody. I mean, it was very healthy. We had a surplus. But the military was getting smart because the warmongering fear factory was over. We have nothing but fear itself as the terrorists won. That's the only thing I agree with that lunatic Jesse Ventura. I love Jesse, but he's about as intelligent. His IQ is about as lacking as they get. He regurgitates third grade knowledge that he obviously missed, which a lot of politicians do. Most of our political representatives are very low IQ. They're very unintelligent people, just like us, because we don't bother doing the work. We take the 10-second soundbite. So I call it Foxconn. They were fed, just like in the 1960s, when the peace movement. We know that for a fact. We know factually now that via Hollywood, via a lot of the CIA children, in the canyon, we know that was co-opted. We know that was a fact. Now, did it work? Yeah, it worked. Peace freaking movement was freaking completely co-opted and destroyed by the hypocrites. And the hypocrites still out the field as they sit on their couches in Eugene, Oregon and suck up freaking plutonium and don't do anything about it. No hate zones. Co-opt. Fox News co-opt the right, the hypocrites co-opt the left. And left the working class Americans totally marginalized. Everybody who gets up in the morning, goes to work, totally marginalized, which always was the backbone of America. Working longer hours every single year for 37 consecutive years for less money. They captured you. The military-industrialized complexes, Pay the Dragon Slayer has gone insane. Ties right back to Fukushima. Fox News is the culprit. They were co-opted. It was the CIA, I think, a political operative. They fed you you look, okay, for instance, on the right or the left, and you guys that are listening to this in your dogma snuggies, everybody in this country divides up in camps because they have this they have this school on the left and they have this school on the right. Everything has to fit into this bowl for the right, whether it be gay marriage, whether it be guns, whether it be gold, whether it be whatever. Anyway, they just feed it out. And you listen to every person who's a radio talk show or whatever, they all fit into it. They'll slowly spin it, They'll slowly spin it back to that dogma. On the left, everything, same thing. You can listen to 100 different radio shows, and the dogma is going to be the same. It's all going to spin back to either the left dogma bowl or the left. You take the red pill or the blue pill. That's where you go. Not here. I've never been that. I got out of my dogma snuggie a long time ago. Was I forced there? Yeah. I guess, cancer. I want to make a call out to this show to everybody who's listening. Our family, we are family. There's a little family out there that's getting bigger all the time, but a lot of Americans don't realize how tight this family is. It's called AML, cancer fighters, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. There's a group of people that have these radical, hardcore cancers that they know when they get sick, they're in for the fight of their life. These are acute, hardcore. This isn't go eat some wheat germ and smoke a little weed. You're going to say, these are, you're up against the wall with a firing squad pointed right at your head. You're dying fast, and it's going crazy on you. We develop a family. As my YouTube site evolved, I hope that we have some of the family members I'm going to get on here of our past brothers and sisters as we fight the good fight. Do you know how many people have been in my YouTube site that have been in this AML leukemia fight that they didn't lose their fight? I say they were the purest. And I really believe that because I've watched the ones that die. The ones that die are the good. But my friend walked in there when I was really sick. He's like, you ain't going to die. You're too big of a prick to die. He says, assholes like you don't die, you know. I'm like, thank you. There's so much truth to it. I watch the people that go. It seems like it really does take the good. It really does take the pure. Now, Steve Jobs, an aberration to that. Steve Jobs was a brilliant, brilliant man, but he was an asshole to the epic proportions. I knew him. I was a semiconductor analyst in the 90s. I went to his presentation right, and I'm telling you, he was one of the biggest pricks I ever met in my entire life. Because he told Barack Obama when he was an advisor to the, and by the way, I call Barack Obama Barry Antoinette, let them eat cake. Let them eat yellow cake. Barry Nuclear, the greatest Uncle Tom in history. The worst president in regard to the environment in the history of the United States. Did I vote for him? Yeah, why? I don't know. Because Jill Stein was our Green Party candidate. Ralph Nader, our Green Party. The only thing green about those guys are their bank accounts. They're pathetic. They are pathetic. A Republican, after Bush and Cheney, how can anybody vote for one of those mentally? I know the Romney family, the drug cartel from northern Mexico. I mean, you want to talk evil? They're a whole nother level of evil. That hairspray and that false product, they are devils, pure devils, for real. Barack Obama, and you can say, oh, what are you talking about? He's the worst president in history of the environment. Okay, let's talk about him. BP happened on his watch. BP could have been bombed immediately. They could have went in there. The Navy had the technology. The Navy wanted in. They could have sealed that thing. He let it go for how many days? And he let them spray chemicals for how long? He destroyed the Gulf. It's like, I love all you guys. Oh, the economy. I'm an environmental economist. That's my PhD. I wrote about this long before BP ever happened. Oh, the offshore drilling. Well, we signed it, Bushy Boy and his freaking mission accomplished to extract every natural resource from the United States, to extract every dime of wealth from the United States. The worst president in history, bar none. No one's even close. Yes, W. Bush, the worst president by thousands of times in the history. Barack Obama trying to catch him, rapidly trying to catch him. They're neck and neck. They'll probably end up in a dead heat at the wire. BP created how many new jobs? Really zero. When people say, oh, they got a couple 100,000 new jobs in the Gulf. Okay. You got a couple 100,000 jobs created in the Gulf, which really wasn't because they took away jobs from the overthrust belt here in places like Wyoming and water because they have to build pipelines there. They have to get their oil to market there. In the Gulf, they just take the tankers and extract the natural resource in the United States into world markets. BP, British Petroleum. He got away with it. They sprayed the disbursement. So how many jobs did they destroy in the Gulf of Mexico? The fishing industry is devastated. I mean, 15th generation fishers. The tourism industry. I love these ad campaigns they run. You'll watch my Fuck BP videos and right next to it, you know, Google will run an ad for BP's a lot to work and these whores that go to work for BP. Fuck BP. They burned the mammals. They sealed off. I mean, you think about this. This isn't America. Don't tread on the Queen's forest. They sealed off our public beaches, sealed them off, and burned the mammals. I love all you people. Oh, look at me. I got to adopt these middle-aged females. Don't you love them? They dress up and try to act like a 20-year-old. You know, I'm a cougar. I mean, how disturbing. You know, I remember when I was a young guy. I mean, the girls, think about the young guys. What was I wanting to sleep with freaking 40, 50-year-old freaking? Oh my God, how disturbing, how disgusting. Oh, look at me. I got a dolphin tattooed on my ankle and my ass. Really? Really? Boy, I've learned through the Fukushima fight that it's all false bravado. All of it. Marine biologist. Let's think about this. You're a marine biologist, which Cal Berkeley's put out a matrix for 40 years. I was involved with Berkeley as a young guy. They have a matrix of the happiest people in the world. Marine biologists has always been right at the top. I finally realized why post-Fukushima. We have thousands of marine biologists in the United States. We have giant federally funded departments, gigantic funding all up and down the coast of the United States. Every major university all over. Not one single one. I've realized because to become a marine biologist is just free money. You get $150,000 to $200,000 a year. You don't do anything. They don't work. I mean, it's welfare. It is the ultimate welfare. They're welfare queens. Marine biologist departments and marine biologists are the ultimate welfare queens. They don't do anything. They surely don't do studies out of the ocean. They don't study our fish. They don't study the ocean. What do? They don't do anything. Zero. They get free money. They don't work. So who is the welfare queens? Well, them and defense contractors. The military, they are the welfare queens. And the Patriot Act, as we slip it all in a thing, you know what kind of money? Go to D.C. Go to Washington, D.C. Travel around those three counties. And by the way, this show will be broadcast live from the courtroom in Knoxville, Tennessee, next Tuesday, as Megan Rice is being sentenced. The way it looks, I even have a seat inside the courtroom. But I'll be outside standing on the courtroom steps as she's being sentenced next Tuesday. I'll be in Knoxville. I'm flying in it looks like I'll land 4 o'clock on the 25th. I need a ride from Knoxville to, I don't know, I'm going to try to change the ticket to the 26th because the clean air protests we're having here in Salt Lake City, I've been invited to speak there in front of the Capitol. The dirtiest, filthiest air. These Mormons have completely lost their mind. They're the major polluters from hell. They love to kill their own children. They love to watch their family members die of cancer. It's God's will. Tim Shell. Megan Rice sentence is going to be a very, very big deal. A very big deal. If you don't know who she is, type her in. 83-year-old nun. Grew up, raised from a child by some of the greatest human rights activists in the history of this country. Dorothy Day. Type it in. Google it, who she is. Dr. Rice, her father, her amazing mother. She could have picked any human rights issue. She's been involved in all. Where did she go right to? Right to the top. Nuclearism. She broke into Y-12. Simply Baron Greg and Michael. The Dorothy Day house. They wanted to show you that the military-industrialized complex is completely out of control. As Pay the Dragon Slayer, they're robbing you. Blackwater, all these companies paid billions. Dick Cheney, Halliburton paid billions of dollars to so-called protect us from terrorists when they're the terrorists. Dick Cheney's a terrorist, the greatest terrorist in the history of the world, Dick Cheney. Bar none. Halliburton, Blackwater, these men are terrorists, hardcore terrorists. Type in the definition of terror. As Jesse said, they won. The terrorists won. Did they fear you? Yes, because we are America, home of the cowards. Afraid, tiny, afraid men. Tiny, afraid men. So afraid that they want to put that an 83-year-old, 5-foot nun intimidates them. They are fear, a peace-loving nun. They snipped the wires, just walked in there to prove that Blackwater does not defend, that we're spending $1 billion defending these terrorists. They walked in there, thought they'd be arrested in 30 minutes. used some metaphorical paint, and waited hours and hours, arrested, as I gladly give my life to cure this planet of the most evil weapon in the history of humanity, nuclear. Megan Rice. They charge her under the Patriot Act. The prosecutor, a tiny, tiny, tiny man. Like the prosecutor who put Jeremy Hammond in prison, a tiny, tiny, tiny little afraid man. Like the prosecutor who hung Aaron Swartz, tiny, tiny, tiny afraid little men. America was never afraid. America was the land of the brave, home of the free. It really was. America was the land of brave men and brave women. Not anymore. Not anymore. The baby boomer are afraid, tiny, tiny little men. That's who we are here. We're scared. Oh, the terrorists are going to get there. Aren't no terrorists want any part of you. And you buy into the fear factor is the Foxconn. It is the Foxconn. They were co-opted. They were paid. It was a CI covert. You know how big the military's gotten in the last 13 years? I call it the military coup of 2000. Why do you think Gore stood down? I mean, Bush didn't win. Gore didn't even fight. What a fraud hour. Now think about the fraud. George Bush, the biggest scumbag who ever walked, is the worst American. Benedict Arnold on Balco. The worst president in the history, the worst politician in the history of this country, bar none. Makes Spiro Agnew look like a freaking saint. George W. Bush, the alcoholic. I loved it when he's over there at the Olympics drunk, and his beautiful, incredible daughter, Barbara Jr., which is one amazing young woman. Not the other twin, the good twin, bad twin, like good cop, bad cop. You know, he has the one lunatic, Neil Kahn, Karl Rove twin daughter, and the other daughter is the beautiful, sophisticated daughter, named after George Bush's sophisticated mother. Look at her eyes rolling as he's drunk over there hugging those girls freaking into volleyball. How wasted he is. That was the guy. Al Gore laid down and rolled over like the bitch that he is because he's a tiny, tiny, afraid coward of a man. Listen to Tipper. Tipper, who amazing woman. She divorced him, you know. You know why? Al Gore was charged not once but twice, accused by massage therapists for trying to rape them. Tiny, tiny man. Apple and Google made him a billionaire. Oh, clean energy, clean energy, clean energy. The replacement for dirty coal is nuclear. When he builds a house that sucks up $8,000 worth of energy a month, he's a fraud. They're all frauds. They're all frauds. Because we buy into the Foxconn thesis. They feed us a 10-second soundbite. Why? Because we're working too long for too less. We get up at rush hour was at 9, now it's at 8, 7, 6, 5, now it's at 4. People drive like maniacs to get to work. Oh, it was always that way. No, it wasn't always that way. This show's, we're going to start bringing in guests. I'm hoping to get Jan Brooks, Miss Milky the Clown, a.k.a. She's going to come on the show. I'm hoping to get maybe Jeremy Hammond's mom, maybe one of the family members of Aaron Swartz. So many of the vloggers and bloggers have told the tale about Fukushima. Fukushima, we need to call this out in detail. It has never happened. It's the greatest catastrophe in human history. It's ongoing. Do we know what's going to happen? No one. No one knows. And anybody say, oh, this is happening, that's happening, that's happening. It's all hyperbole and it's all hypothesized. Factually, we know, the China syndrome, nuclear fission is going on over there. We know factually they don't have a handle on it. We know factually the Navy wanted in. They wanted the keys. Rocco, nuclear, Barry, Antoinette, let them eat yellow cake, who was completely propped up by the nuclear industry, the greatest lie in human history, nuclearism. I like how you say, oh, it's clean energy. It's magic. We can wave a wand. It's magic. There's nothing magic about nuclear. Nuclear is old and tired and dirty as it gets. It's not magic. There's nothing magic. It's uranium mines. It comes right from the earth. It's just like a dirty coal. It's worse than dirty coal. I like it. Oh, dirty coal's an oxymoron. Bullshit. That is another Fed talking point you monkeys just regurgitate. because that's all you know. No investigators, you just respin. They're uranium mines. The filthiest, most disgusting. There's one been on fire here for 70 years in southern Utah. It's the most filthiest mining operation in the history of humans. You have to mine uranium. It's uranium. That's what nuclear reactors are. It's uranium. You have to enrich the uranium. What a filthy problem. Paducah, as there's been scammed on you, oh, we got to get these Russians. When Paducah got hit by the tornado a couple months ago, which you don't even want to talk about, all the moxie fuel in there was Russian. New World Order? No, Old World Order. Feudalism. As we do business, I love it. Oh, you people. You know, we grew up, them commies in China. We fought the Korean War. We fought Vietnam. All these people died. What? To ward off communism? To ward off communism? Beat back those Chinese? Then we become the Chinese. Chinese in the United States are absolutely 100% in bed with each other. Everything you touch, everything you buy is from China or Bangladesh. Shirtwaist fire. 1911, I was trying to correlate post-ignorance with the 100th anniversary of the Shirtwaist fire, which changed the world. Those creeps had those girls locked in up there in Manhattan. They couldn't get out. Slave labor making your clothes. Those girls jumped 15, 16, 17-year-old girls jumping out of windows, and people watched, and they were aghast. I believe it was 169 of them jumped to their deaths and died that day. It changed the world. It changed the world. It stopped. By the way, those two creeps that locked them in walked. They walked back to their limestone piece of shit mansions. Not guilty when they were guilty. But America revolted. You're not going to freaking treat our populace. We don't believe in usury. We don't believe in slavery. Now we are all usury. Bangladesh has a shirtwaist fire by 10, 20 times every month. The exact identical same thing. I think the one here a few months ago killed 1,500. Walmart. They're all Walmart factories. Right? Everything your children are wearing. There's people in Brooklyn are going along with hot lights and taking brand new garments from Walmart and Target from all these different places and running the hot light over your brand new garment, and there's blood in the brand new garments. That's how horrific the slave conditions are over there, but you're willing to participate in that. All my great activism in 2013, and I did a lot of great activism while I was sick. My best activism, I think I did, leading the Million Mass Man March that John Fairhurst and a group of us organized. But was standing in Times Square with the Tiananmen Square dissidents, protesting the incarceration of the professors and the repression of the Chinese workforce by Americans. I stood in that cage. They don't let anybody in that cage. And I drank beet juice, and people would walk by and say, "Hey, you on your Apple phone? How do you like drinking the blood of Chinese children?" It's us. Consume, obey, consume, obey, consume, obey, consume, obey. Because we're in our dogma snuggies. What Fukushima is. You just think it's all going away. It's not going away. And it's not low-level radiation. And factually, we know now from the Cal Berkeley data that's all out. We know it. And I would like to say this about the Water and Engineering Department of Cal Berkeley. They hid that data that now they release. And read through all that data. Read through that. Go to Cal Berkeley's air and water monitoring sites. They hid that data for a long time. Finally get it. Look at the slants on that. Look at the slants. Every time there's a high reading, like they have huge high readings in Sacramento, they blow it off to something else. And then it's always low level or declining. The first 5 days, they confirm that North America, just like we said from day one, got hammered with the freaking plume over the top of us. By the way, I called it Nuke Gate from the get. You can see that thing with my central line. I call it the Pacific Genocide. I've called that for a very, very, very long time. So it came over us. It doesn't matter where you live in California or Missouri or New York. It's where it rains. It's where it rained those first 5 days. Where did it rain hard? Seattle, Washington. Washington and Oregon got hammered with rain. Hammered. You'd think they'd be screaming the loudest. They're screaming the most quiet. The data they're showing in California, it's going to be much lower. But, so they pushed it into the Pacific for 1,040 some odd days. The first 5, 6 days, yeah, it went into the air. And it went as the jet stream, and it's where it rains. Richard Miller, 1986, is where it proves all this. As he took the open-air test in Nevada, and he showed. I love it how Berkeley's Aaron Watermeyer will say, oh, this big reading they had in Sacramento, these giant readings they have in Sacramento are from the open-air test. Remember this, when they did the open-air test, all 350 of them, they were very, very careful to make sure the wind was going to the east. Sacramento, last I checked, was not east of freaking the Nevada test site. Yeah, did they get some? Yeah, but not as much as the rest of the country got. Utah, we all know what downwinders were. We did. We forgot. But Tony didn't forget. We're the cancer capital of the world, except for maybe the Belarus and Ukraine. Chernobyl, the greatest cover-up. We've soon passed that with Fukushima. Where it rained. So the rest of the time it's been pushed into the Pacific Ocean. As I've said, stay on tuning. I mean, how can you eat out of the oceans? How can you eat when you have 1,040-something days of nuclear fallout pushed into the Pacific Ocean? And people hypothesize the oceans are like some kind of bathtub? Are you kidding me? Ocean currents. They're very swift. Swiftest rivers in the world. Japanese current. The California current. Up into our fish supply. 90% of our fish supply comes out of the Gulf of Alaska. We know factually that the plutonium, 239, 240, all these nasty killers float into the Gulf of Alaska heavily into the fish supply. We're in denial about all the animals and all the species out of the ocean dying because, oh, we love dolphins. I got one tattooed on my ass. You don't love shit. Marine biologists, welfare queens. So it's all in the ocean. So you can't get out of the ocean. So is the marine layer rolling in? And these readings on the beach, obviously the beach is going to have more radiation. And it's not low level. What do these fuckers get off calling this fucking low level? It's not low level. It's hardcore. And our family, as AML leukemia fighters, our family as non-Hodgkin's lymphoma families, as Dana passed, as Paul passed, as Carla passed, as Tracy passed, my group, I've watched it over and over and over. These were people in this site every day. Videos done out of rooms. People that all got leukemia post-Fukushima, including myself, given no chance to live. I've watched these people die. Our family. That's who we're going to fight for. Aaron Swartz. Jeremy Hammond. What is he in prison for? Let's set him free. Megan Rice set her free. Put the freaking banksters, put Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld. We know the criminals of 9/11. Henry Kissinger. But how many warrants are there still laying around? Can you believe he's even still kicking? I mean, Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, Henry Kissinger's protege, out of the Nixon thesis. They all came out of that same lie. And the lie just grew and grew. They pulled off the military coup of 2000, and I call it Foxconn. Fox News, there's no doubt in my mind. And all the right-wing writers, the Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck, now, that's as mentally ill as they get. Sell your gold at 70. And I want to talk to you people about investment real quickly. I love all you guys that bought gold at 300-400, but I'm trying to tell you, it's not the answer just to own gold or silver. And when you pay $1,500, $1,600, $1,400, $1,300, $1,900 for gold, you pay $47, $50, $45, $35 for silver, and you sell out your 401k at $6,500 because it's going back and they fear-mongered you because you weren't in your dogma snug. I'm not talking about people that, it's important to have gold and silver in your portfolio, very important. It's extremely important to be diversified. You're going to need that money so you can get into the bone marrow transplants when you're going to need one. You're going to need money because the medical industry is not going to do shit for you unless you have money. I mean, I've seen it. I saw it. I went into those emergency rooms uninsured. They just blew me off. Finally, I had to go to another college and throw down my stock portfolio and say, look, here, see all that money? I have the ability to pay. Oh, then did it change? You know, Dr. Hansen, he would have done it anyway. Brilliant person that he was. But you're going to need that money. You know, and they don't take gold bars when you go to the oncology into the bone marrow transplant units. You walk in and hand your, but they won't accept those. You're going to have to convert those to American currency. Worthless paper notes. And when did the inflation happen? The day we invaded Iraq. The military lied. The dollar went from 75 cents to $1.60 from 2003 to 2006. As the Fed inflate your way out, as the Fed men hijacking, yeah, oh yeah, corrupt beyond corrupt, just like the rest of America. It's all corrupt. We're all corrupt because we want the easy way out. is corrupt America. We need to stay focused. You need to crawl out of your dogma. And the top of the heap, you know, Fukushima. This never happened. For these people to say this is going to happen, this is going to happen, they don't know. That's the scary part of this. But we know it's not good. It's going on. They have no answers. They have no answers. None. There are no answers. And as our Post-Ignorance Project, we protested around nuclear reactors all over the world on Fire Organized, Yellow and Black Friday. One of our great activists, one of our great little army, went to Harris in North Carolina, and she did a protest there. Harris is on fire. And immediately come out in North Carolina. South Carolina, Energy Solutions again, leaking into the aquarium, come out fire. And immediately, they release it. As soon as the accident happens, they're like regurgitating sheep, and you just accept, oh, no threat to the public, no threat, low levels. They say that before they even know what's going on. And the NRC, the nuclear rallying cheerleaders that are supposed to protect us, captured just like every other government agency. Not only do they not protect us, they're used as a weapon against us. Because we don't hold their feet to the fire. You know, it's just like the San Onofre shutdown. When I went to New York and I knew they were having the hearings on the spent fuel stored waste. Let's talk about that quickly. We have 4 different elements of nuclear power. You want to talk about radiation? Yeah, it's horrible. But let's be factual about this. Let's talk about when a nuclear accident happened, Chernobyl, Fukushima. The landscape is gone forever in a big swath. What happens when we get one here in the United States? Well, we come very, very close to a major meltdown in the United States. Can you imagine an evacuation, 70 miles around a nuclear reactor? Oyster Creek almost happened. New York City falls in that. I mean, and you don't ever go back. Diablo Canyon, San Onofre, we're talking Los Angeles, Southern California. You never go back. There's one gigantic, way too much risk, and we know factually they do happen. Chernobyl happened, Fukushima happened. We've almost had them here over and over and over. We've been dodging bullets. Second, it's the dirty, filthiest. It's not freaking magic. It's uranium mine. It's disgusting. It pollutes hardcore. It's thousands of times more carbon footprint than coal. And we can clean up coal, but we don't even need coal. Solar, the technology exists. This is 1971. We're having this argument. It's 2013. Solar is the answer. And people say, oh, it can't be done to bullshit. It's being done. Germany's done it. Southern California's done it. Nuclear waste. There's your 10 elephants in the way. There's no answer for it. They always say, oh, we'll get re-vitrification. They lied to us and lied to us. You know they're sitting in 104 reactors. Nuclear waste is sitting on site. I use the number 252, and people have argued for years with me about that. There are 252 because I use all these little secret ones. There's nooks and crannies and caves and shoved in all over. There's 5 of them here in Utah. It's shoved everywhere. They don't know where to put it. They don't want it, so they just keep making more nuclear weapons. We have enough nuclear weapons to blow the Earth up 1 billion times over. We have enough plutonium to freaking make enough nuclear weapons to blow the universe up fucking 1 billion times over. It's because you're afraid, because we're a country of tiny, tiny, tiny afraid men. That's who Fox knows. What do you think the hairspray is all about? Foxconn. I really do believe, I hypothesize that it was a covert thing, just like it was in the 60s, Kill the Peace Movement. The military was going down. We didn't need it. We didn't need it. You know, I will end this with 3/11 versus 9/11. I know it's a horrible analogy. But even the most uncynical about 9/11, we're not talking about the lead up of 9/11 and the action planes going in. We're talking about when the decision was to blow all the complexes. And that's as obvious as the nose on your face. You watch any video of building number 7, you can see that was obviously, now who did it? Now think about this. They made the decision to blow the entire thing while the firemen were in there. They didn't care. That's who these monsters are. Same with 3/11. It happened. The Navy could have went and entombed that. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, it would have been a major, giant operation like the entombment of Chernobyl was. They could have done it with the same molds that made Yucca Mountain, which Yucca Mountain was built to put it in there. Harry Reid blocked Yucca Mountain. That's the appointment of Gregory Jacko, the head of the NRC, JASCO, who I used to really go off on, but I've got a huge respect. He wasn't about to play ball with Barry Antoinette, let them eat yellow cake in the Situation Room. He resigned when he was told to cover up this dog and pony show to protect the nuclearism MIT scumbags. They're scum. Allison McFarland. Again, Harry grew up right where Yucca Mountain is. He's a Mormon, by the way, from here. Well, he grew up at Yucca Mountain. They don't want Yucca Mountain. They've made it with a mole. It's been built for a long time to put all this waste in. By law. Executive order after executive order has stopped Yucca Mountain from happening. So we just leave it on site. Dry cast. Dry cast is a joke. It doesn't work. We proved that. Number 3 again at Fukushima. You can watch infrared freaking photos. You can see that the dry casts that they had 3 are leaking. They're leaking. The dry casts are leaking today, being reported by who Jan, Miss Milky the Clown, told her viewers to go to, which Missing Sky. She's reporting that today. That's the dry cast. It's a joke. There's no answer for the nuclear waste. So we could talk about radiation. We could talk about nuclear meltdowns, as horrific as they are and beyond catastrophic. Thomas Ackerman calls it the age of fission. Oh boy. What about all the waste? What about the filthy, filthy uranium mines? What about the carbon footprint of nuclear? You look at this tank, oh, they're magic. It's magic. We'll put a pellet in your car, too cheap to meter. Well, we didn't know then, but we sure know now. And yet we do it because it's Foxconned. We've been Foxconned. Not to be fused with Foxconn, but we've been Foxconned and Foxconned. Why? Because we're afraid, tiny, tiny little men. We're fear. We get scared of our own shadow. Who? Yeah. Go back to his words. You have nothing but fear itself. Terrorists won? Oh, yeah, they won. And who were the terrorists? Oh, we know who the terrorists were. We know who the terrorists were. Dick Cheney, Donna Rumsfeld, the greatest terrorists in world history. And history will record it that way. History will look back. Mission accomplished. The Patriot Act completely annihilated the United States Constitution and the Declaration of Independence and everything that we ever did. And we don't have men with integrity. We have hairspray, masquerade party on both sides. Because you're dogma. You're in your dogma snuggie. You buy into the left, you buy into the right. And Lottery America. Oh, coach for an NCAA football team just got a $20 million contract. The average athlete in America in 1975 made less than 3 times the average working class American. What do they make now? Is it no, it's the system, us. CEOs making 18,000 times the average American. It's obscene. It's grotesque. It's sickening. Oh, free market capitalism. We never were that. I love how these people, socialism, capitalism, they have no clue. Because they got it Foxconned. Foxconn sold it down their throat, and they will fight you with their dogma, false bravado, arrogance, because they are ignorant. Thus, post-ignorance. We don't know how to defend ourselves because we're too ignorant to defend ourselves. So we fall for wedge issues. The shiny ball, they throw it to us. You cannot eat out of the Pacific Ocean. You can't. You know, that's just not hyperbole. That's just not hypothesis. That's a fact. They caught a fish with 16,000 times the safe limits of plutonium in its flesh off Fukushima a year and a half ago. Fish swim. Ocean currents move. We don't even know. You eat a fish. We don't even inspect our food chain. You don't know. We mix it all together. Free market will save us. Yeah. When we get a new planet in a couple million years, and then all you far-right evangelicals, marks say, see, we told you you're going to hell, and I'm getting my own planet. Ha, 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 ha. Yeah, thank you, God. Sickening. This country was never that. This country fought against that system. The system that's been created in China, the system, it's feudalism. It's return of 1774. It's exactly what we were when we fought the Revolutionary War. You know, it's a class system. What do you think China, the ruling elite family class, was slaves for, you know how many people they execute a day in China? You know how many women they execute a day? And I don't know if it's true, but I heard that Dick Cheney's freaking hearts from an executed Chinese prisoner. I mean, how grotesque, how sickening are we? Get caught with a bag of marijuana in China, they execute you. Then they sell your body parts. I mean, that's a fact. It's a fact. They have these vans they pull up when they execute. That's why there's incentive to execute young people. chop their bodies up and sell them in the Western world for $200,000. Your liver, your freaking gain, go have a transplant. I was all ready for one, by the way. I'm the first guy to have AML de novo, probably in the country, that we're walking this walk, voluntarily doing this without a bone marrow transplant. They're watching me like a hawk. Of course, only if you're handing them money. That's why we have to freaking fold in all of these pieces, because they all tie back to your health. They all tie back to the environment. If you have good friendships and good relationships and your health, you're a rich man. Isn't that what our grandparents used to say? Isn't that what that generation used to say? Our parents' generation used to say it. Now we don't even care about our health. I mean, we're obese. How many pills do you all pop a day? Think about me. I was loaded up on so many drugs when I was in there, but none of them were pain meds. Because pain meds don't work on them. The pain is so epic on non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and AML leukemias, they don't even bother. Morphine makes you worse. That's the pain. They have a level in the hospital. They have 1 through 10 pain levels. And then they go 1 through 10, on 10 being the strongest, and then they go up on 10, they say, AML pain, whole new world. So they load you up on blood thinners so the central line will work. They load you up on all kinds of stuff. I mean, because it's a radical, dramatic, bombard your body, kill every cell in your body because it's blood cancer. It's in these little free radicals hide in your spine, in the back of your freaking brain stem. So they got to get them out of there. They got to kill them and then try to hope your body comes back multiple times. Here you people are all popping pills unnecessarily, so many people. I pulled myself off every medication. Here I have AML leukemia in fight of my life. That hardcore. You know how many medications I've been on in the last year and a half? 0. I worked with the pharmacy day by day, the pharmacist. Me and him talked every day, over and over, and her. Can I go off this? Well, I'm on this. Well, okay. The doctor's like, wow, it's pretty amazing the way you did that, Kevin. The last drug I went off was the Coumadin because I had to keep that central line in me to keep my blood thin, just to keep that thing clear. I don't take pills. I don't chase freaking my tail. I never chase my tail economically. What's that old saying? Don't sweat the petty stuff. That's what we do here. We'll work 65-hour weeks to go further and further in debt. Owe more on our styrofoam piece of shit mansion. Stop it. Stop it. Quit consuming. Stop consuming. Stop consuming. Walk to work. Drive an old car. Buy stuff at thrift stores. We made too much shit. This whole consumer thesis is out of control. Get rid of your debt structure. Oh, I'm trapped in my house. Oh, well, yeah, I guess you are. They've changed the codes. I understand that.
So who do you think you are? You're gonna catch a cold from that ice inside your soul. This is Kevin Blanch. If this is a friendly message or somebody wants to get a hold of me or one of my friends, leave a message.
You're on.
Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. You know, Jill Stan, we gotta love her. She's the one that's put this whole gig together and helped me, our Facebook pages. But here at the last of this post-ignorant show, we need to hammer away at the environment. We need to chip away at this dogma. We need to end nuclearism. We need to entomb Fukushima. Is it too late? Yeah, it's too late for so many, but it needs to happen. It's just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. We need to hold Marie Antoinette's feet to the fire. We need to hold nuclearism's feet. We need to stop this in the name of fear in the military complex. It needs to end. It's outrageous. We need to repeal the Patriot Act. We need Jeremy Hammond set free. We need Megan Rice set free, Greg and Michael. These are not criminals. These are patriots. Jeremy Hammond didn't do anything wrong. He forwarded a link. He didn't do anything. He's not anonymous. He's a scared, tiny, frightened man. We need to hold the accountability to the warmongers, the people that the military industrial complex. We need to expose the far right and the far left for the lottery economy. I mean, we're making them rich. Video killed the media star. You know how wealthy these people are? And I take back a lot what I said about Amy and Democracy Now! The reporting she did over there, and I don't know if it's on purpose or whatever, but that video of the woman in front of the Prime Minister's house. And to the people of Japan, I've always supported you from day one, and you know I have. I love all of you. I've been one of the very few that has screamed and rant and raved, and I know, and I've tried to tell everybody the gigantic protests in Japan. I've tried to expose some of the greatest numbers in protest in the history of humanity have been going on in Japan constantly, yet we will not cover it. Now, so who is the problem? The American media, every people, these black and yellow journalistic whores, it's high treason. It is high treason. They're Benedict Arnold on Balco to not report the protest in Japan, ABC, NBC, CBS, every one of you, the alternative, because I am the alternative. The people of Japan have protested hardcore, but they've got no media coverage. You'll cover anything else, your bullshit. The IAEA is in Iran. I'm so sick of that Iran bullshit. Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons of mass destruction. The United States does. In Japan. Holy that China. That's what number 3 is about. Number 3 is full of box fuel. Think about that. They admit it freely now. We used to say that before Fukushima. People say we're crazy. All us activists said it was going to happen at Fukushima, Japan, or Diablo Canyon, or San Onofre. I will be broadcasting next Tuesday live from the courthouse steps in Knoxville, Tennessee, on the sentencing of Mega Rice. You don't want to cover it, you fucks, you media block. That's all right. We'll cover it because you're not media, and you wonder why your number. And you protect all your money. When you get freaking cancer, let's see, it did a lot of good for Steve Jobs. A lot of good. You're going to find out what the good fight is. And people like you, good luck. Because I've watched the people that die at the good fight. They're purists. They're beautiful people. They call it the good fight for a good reason, which I've been in for 27 months, epically. When you people die, you black and yellow journalistic horrors, your soul's not going to go to the right place. Because we're all dying. Paul was dying, my beautiful, incredible, one of my lifelong friends, as he died last February. Incredible physical specimen, in our side every day, fighting this leukemia fight, right side by side with me. He at the end of his life, Kevin, we're all terminal. Life's short. See you on the other side. Yeah. All you black that participate won't show us the protests in Japan, won't talk about you marine biologists who are welfare queens, you military industrialized complex defense contractors, you are military welfare queens, the greatest welfare queens ever. May God have mercy on your soul. We'll stay on tuned. We'll stay on this fight. I'm going to bring in, hopefully, Jan, Miss Cookie the Clown, Thomas Ackerman, the artist. Got a lot of grassroots. I'm hoping maybe I can get Jeremy Hammond's mom, maybe one of Aaron Swartz's dad, maybe even Stouten's dad. But this is about the truth. And we start at the top.
All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. Plumegate, 311, whatever you want to